All right, welcome back, Internet. We are going to be hitting up Kenter at Your Own Risk, episode 38, part B, where we top our top 5 Cube adjacent movies from the horror genre. We've already discussed those in part A, so now we'll actually be getting into Cube itself and then talking over our random amount of inane bullshit that we talk about every month. So, Kent, you want to kick us off here?
Yeah. So, to go back to the previous episode for a moment, I just learned that in Stephen King's cameo of the reboot of The Shining, the ABC miniseries, he played the character named Gage Creed, which, as we all know, is the young boy from Pet Sematary.
That is
Right?
super
It
random.
really is. And I'm so glad that you knew it.
No, I was like looking it up during the break, and all of a sudden I'm like, that you, Gage? Playing games. So, all right, that was my happy moment. Okay, it's all downhill from here. So, Cube. A quick, I need this shout out because the ties that bind us here. The first time I watched Cube, I watched over Eric's house, and he is the common thread amongst the three of us, I would say. And it was a grand
Oh, yeah,
time.
for sure.
And absolutely.
I up to that point, I'd never seen a movie quite like that. And then it spawned a craptacular sequel, and then a much better prequel. I don't know, like, what was so fascinating about, I don't know if it was the death traps, the ambiguity of the ending, the guy who played Kazan, he likes the Blue Room people. I don't even know, like Quentin, for example. I love Quentin the whole time through, to the point where, I don't know, I'm still cheering on Quentin. I feel like he's doing the best job to survive, and I definitely don't like, which one, was it Holloway or Levin? I don't know, she's kind of the naggy lady. Do you know?
The Doctor?
Yeah.
Holloway.
I never liked her, so I guess I was really more on Quentin's team. But Worth was okay, right? And Renz, in the very beginning, really sets the stage for everything that's cool about this movie. I don't know about you guys. I always have liked math, so I liked the inclusion of math into a sci-fi horror crazy-ass melange. And at the end, you're just kind of sitting there like, so now what? What was the best part for you guys? Was it, after the fact or during the movie? Because for me, it was after the fact.
I don't remember where I watched it full the first time, but I remember the very first time I caught any of this, my brother was watching it, and it was right at the beginning, and I had to go somewhere. Either I was going to work or going on a date or going somewhere, and I saw enough, to watch the whole intro, and then it got to the credits, and I was like, fuck, I want to see this movie. Yeah, so I ended up watching it when I came home, because I think he had rented it from Video World, or I forgot what the hell the little one that was down on
Captain Video?
Yeah, Captain Video, down in Johnstown. One of those he had rented it from, and I watched it when I got home. I think we take it for granted how much this is given to the horror genre, because I don't remember anything like this before it.
It doesn't change the game.
Yeah. Like, do we have Saw without, or most of the Saw sequels without Cube?
They're pretty directly correlated.
Yeah.
After I rewatched Cube, and yeah, I completely agree. That's what it really had going for it, because I was such a huge Quentin Tarantino fan that like the dialogue wasn't like great, and I wasn't like super huge into sci-fi movies that didn't have like action. Obviously, from my list of 5 movies. So yeah, Cube was good. It seemed like everyone liked it more than I did, though. I did like the ending. I enjoyed it so much more this time around because I do feel like I took a lot for granted back then.
Yeah,
So
I got you. I mean, I think shit. When did it come out? 97.
Yeah.
So I would have been, 17 going on 18, depending upon what time of the year it came out. And
You're old.
fuck you. Anyways, I do think that at that age, I mean, you guys would have been younger. We were still developing taste. It's almost like we'll watch anything at that point, and I think we can all probably determine, when we saw something like, I forgot which Tarantino movie you said, changed you, but when we saw something that like demarcates between our childhood and just watching movies to enjoy watching movies, and our adulthood when not only did we watch movies but we could begin to analyze them and break them down and look into okay, not only was this entertaining but it had amazing writing. I mean, for me, I think that demarcation was probably the first time I saw Usual Suspects. And I realized just, how much a good script and good performances could do to fucking make a movie. So yeah, I mean, I could definitely see where watching this as you're younger, and it's just, oh, this is cool, something I've never seen before, but not being able to appreciate, that fact until you go back and rewatch it as you're older.
This was made on pretty low ass budget in Canada, right? Like, it was not an expensive movie at all to make, but it looked. I don't want to say like it looked like a super expensive ass movie, but it looked better than the budget was, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, this is probably one that, like, effects-wise doesn't hold up as well because, like, looking at all the things I'm looking at, like, I don't think that they probably had a good transfer to work with to port it over to Blu-ray.
No.
But yeah, it didn't look cheap when it came out. Yeah, I bet it would look dated now, but yeah, for sure.
I learned that sucking on a button produces saliva, and that is true. It really is one of the most important things I took away from this movie. It's weird to, like, alright, so to go with Cube, and then, after that was Cube 2, Hypercube, which came out, I don't even know when, I'm looking it up, early 2000s, 2002. That was right around the time that I started getting into IMDb, and I remember, shortly after, like, back when IMDb had the message boards, and, you could actually discuss theories on stuff, and even though Cube 2 kind of attempted to explain a little bit about the Cube, it was really, like, this cool source of dialogue to discuss the mysteries of Cube, as it were,
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, because even now, after all these years, and even after seeing Cube Zero, which did answer some questions, it also left, asked even more questions, and kind of just gave us a little insight as to why Kazan was the way Kazan was, for example. But it's kind of sad that this. I don't know. Did you either of you think that another Cube movie could still succeed, or is it played out at this point?
I think there's a chance, but I mean, it really just kind of depends on who wants to do it.
Let's put it like this, Kent. And this is where we're showing our age, but there are people now who are born who have no idea what the fuck 9/11 is. And this came out years before. So I do think that there's a possibility for like a reboot. Like at this point, it's been so long, I would say a sequel probably wouldn't make much sense.
the reboot makes way more sense now.
But I could see a reboot working. Again, if you had people who actually cared enough to make it work instead of just making it to try to make money off of a name. And I don't know if there's an audience there to try to make money off of a Cube name, so it would have to be, like a passion project for somebody who had a good script and whatnot in order to make it work.
Yeah, would you try to get like a couple of not necessarily big name actors, but character actors, or would you kind of go for the all unknown cast again?
If I was going to be the one to try to remake it, I would probably either go one of two ways and try to get it made through like A24 with a really well written script and then just go with no names, or I would probably try to send it to Blumhouse and have them use their money to try to at least pump the marketing budget up, in which case you'd probably want to get a couple at least semi-well-known people, whether it's within the production department, like a good director, like a James Wan kind of thing, or, an actor or two to pull in the audience.
All right. Quick question, way off topic, but you just said Blumhouse. Is it Blumhouse or is it Blumhouse? Because I believe his last name is pronounced Blum. But I've always heard it pronounced Blumhouse. Do we know for sure?
I don't know. I will straight up say I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
I usually just see it written Blumhouse. Yeah, it's pronounced Blumhouse most of the time, though, right?
Yeah, I think so. And then one day I was watching, pretty sure I was watching a documentary on something to do with horror, and all of a sudden he's like, yeah, I'm Jason Blum. And I was like, the fuck? Are you saying your name right, sir? So, yeah. I have questions about that, but no, I would love to see A24 do something with this. That would be fascinating, but I also feel that A24, they haven't tackled any kind of remakes or reboots or anything, right?
No, I don't think so.
I do not think they have.
I feel like they're going to try.
They could get Alex Garland.
I think it's going to be a while.
I think Alex Garland could do Cube.
I would. That would be an interesting one. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Who does A24 movies?
So, all right. Well, yeah, I mean, really, this movie has made an impact. I don't know, like, you think of, like, Night of the Living Dead. You think of, like, some of these lower budget movies, and they get a lot of praise for helping establish, like, either a genre, subgenre, or, like, a new idea. And I feel that Cube truly does get lost in that conversation, quite frankly. And I don't know if it's because it's, I don't know, perhaps a little too sci-fi, a little too unknown, but really it is responsible for, or at least partially responsible for, a lot of things that we now know and like or love, or, maybe have a stupid tattoo of, So.
I feel a lot of it was, A, the marketing, or lack thereof, and B, the fact that it's a Canadian production.
I remember that, like, Sci-Fi got their hands on it, and they tried, they did the best they could. This is back in the day when it wasn't SYFY, it was SCIFI channel, and I remember that they tried their best to promote it for, what a shitty little channel it was at the time, but it was just enough that, if you happen to be watching Sci-Fi, at that right time, you probably saw the commercial, and the commercial may have been enough to sell you on it. But, I mean, how many people really saw it?
I think my dad saw it, because I read that it premiered on the Sci-Fi Channel in the United States, or its television premiere was on the Sci-Fi Channel. My dad was really big into that, so I think he saw that, and he, made it a point to, record it and watch it, and but my dad is a long time Stephen King sci-fi fan, so it's very niche.
I mean, I think this is definitely a cult classic. I mean, trying to think about it, like, I don't think there's ever anybody I've talked to who's seen it who didn't at least appreciate it. You know, I can't think of a single person who said, "Oh, you know what, Cube sucked." But it's finding the people who saw it. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely one that I think VHS helped, you know, and word of mouth. This probably, I mean, this probably would have been something akin to, shit, I don't know, maybe like a Blair Witch or a Paranormal Activity, where if the internet had been around and social media for enough word of mouth for it to spread back when it came out, it would have exploded compared to what it did. But I mean, it's just it's like I think of so many scenes and shit from other movies that wouldn't have, like, I mean, shit, Resident Evil, the fucking hallway laser scene. Like, do you think that would have happened without fucking Cube? Yeah.
And
Yeah, I think this would have been, you know, like Bird Box. You know, like, remember how Bird Box was, like, huge for a month? I feel like, you know, under the right timing, like you say, with social media and stuff, this movie would have been bigger than something like Bird Box, for example.
Oh, yeah, I'd agree with that.
And you can see this for free on YouTube, because that's where I watched it for this.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
about the budget, it cost $350,000 in Canada, and it was the biggest failure in Canada of all things. It lasted a few days, but it did win the 1997 Best Canadian First Feature at the Toronto International Film Festival, and it made all of its money and then some. In France, it was released to 220 theaters, and it was the second highest grossing movie in France that summer. Though it says it made 10 million there, which I don't know if that's francs, and then we're dealing with a Canadian money production value, but it says it made 8.9 million total. So I think it did do,
Wow.
you know, and that's probably why they made the second one, and, you know, they couldn't get the cash grab that, you know, the Saw movies did.
I'm like looking up the director,
Natali.
Vincenzo Natali, and he did Splice, which had Sarah Polly, to go back, and also he did In the Tall Grass, which was Stephen King with our man. Oh wait, wasn't Thomas
I
Jane
haven't
in
seen
that?
it in Tall Grass or Splice.
Splice is good, and In the Tall Grass, shit, what was the... Patrick Wilson was the main guy that I remember.
He's good.
Oh shit, I'm thinking of like 19. Was it like 1929 or something like that?
Oh yeah,
yes, that...
22?
22. Whatever that...
1922?
Yeah, that one that came out right around the same time, the other Stephen King story.
Okay, and that one had Thomas Jane.
yeah.
Yeah, In the Tall Grass was
Patrick. Okay.
written by Stephen King with his son, Joe Hill.
Right. Okay. Well, you can understand my confusion then. But, I don't know. Just, it's cool to see something like this succeed. And I'm hoping somebody listens to this and gives it a shot, because this is one of those things that I have shown... I would say I've shown this movie to over double digit in people at this point.
Dude.
And... wow.
He fucking directed one of the Cabinet of Curiosity shorts too, the Graveyard Rats one.
So the one with his two guys.
Yeah, and to piss you off, he also directed 2 episodes of the Stand remake.
Oh, come on, man. You just brought me down from a really good high.
Well, a job's a job, you know.
Damn.
That's probably, you know, there's worse jobs than doing a bad Stephen King adaptation. I haven't seen it, but he also did.
I was going to say, Kevin, if you
I
saw,
know,
you
yeah, I
wouldn't be
guess so.
saying those
But
words.
he also was one of the directors in the anthology film Paris Je t'aime, The Paris I Love You, with among directors like Wes Craven and Gus Van Sant and the Coen brothers and like a whole bunch. So just an odd fact that he was like made the list, and really he probably only did Cube at that point. Did he direct Hypercube?
Looking at
No.
his credits, by that point he had done Cube and then some TV stuff, and maybe one or two movies that I've never heard about. Cypher, nothing. So yeah, I mean, he was still relatively an unknown compared to, the stuff he's done since Parachute's Done.
Yeah, he's actually done some decent stuff. ABCs of Death too, which, I mean, granted, you're one of 26 directors, but that's besides the point.
Oh shit, he did a bunch of fucking Hannibal episodes, and some of them were good. Yeah.
Did Westworld, Strain. So, yeah, I mean, good on him. I mean, damn it, now I need to know which two episodes of The Stand he directed.
The Stand and The Walk.
Wait, he did The Walk?
Episode 7.
Oh. Okay.
And episode 8.
Oh, gosh, okay. Oh. That makes me sad. I'm really sad right now. 'Cause that is a mini series that kind of went really sideways.
You want to hear something interesting, though?
Please, yes.
He was the storyboard artist uncredited for Johnny Mnemonic.
Nice.
Oh.
But he was the storyboard artist for Ginger Snaps.
The first one, right? Not the
the first one.
Ones? Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I liked Ginger Snaps too. I just really hated the third one. So, but the first one was great. Now I'm getting to a point where I have to go back to my notes just to see what I thought of episode 7 and 8 of The Stand, just to make sure that, maybe there's like a little hint, a little bit possibly that I like. Nope. Okay. No, actually, wait. Part 7 I liked. Episode 7 I liked. Let's see. Maybe there's hope, people. No. So I gave episode 7 a 0.8, which was out of a 1.0 because I was trying to do this little average thing. Unfortunately, episode 8 I gave a 0.1. I hated it. So, best of times, worst of times. Anyway, so do we want to talk about other movies that could have made our list?
I mean, we can, if you guys want to. I mean, like, literally, this is what I had written down for, like, what my top 5 would have been. From Dusk Till Dawn, 28 Days Later, The Mist, 38 Days of Night, and The House on Haunted Hill.
There's just one of them we didn't really talk about, right?
Yeah,
just one.
I think I said to Kevin, I was like, I guarantee Chris is going to talk about 28 Days Later.
I tried not to. I
was like, I was just anticipating it. I would have lost that bet. But both of those movies, could have easily been on the list. But once again, it's one of those things that you and I have talked about, 3 or 4 different podcasts at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I love the movie. I love what it did for the zombie genre. I love, like, the messages it tries to get across. I love the choices in the music and the performances, and I'm glad they changed the ending. But again, we fucking discussed that ad nauseum.
Okay, so and the same thing goes with Night of the Living Dead, which I almost still put on the list, but once again, the horse is dead. We've beaten the hell out of it. It belongs on the list. And Chris, did you know that there's a colorized version of the original Night of the Living Dead?
I think I might have seen part of it. I haven't seen the whole thing, but
Kevin, did you watch any of it Because I did send you a link, right?
Was it
Yeah,
Was it like-
I didn't know. I went Dawn with the Dead.
was it kind of Technicolor? I mean, not like, or am I thinking of something else?
It actually looked pretty
Kind of.
decent. It wasn't quite spot on, but it looked decent enough. So Technicolor is probably accurate.
Okay.
Now, I don't want to hog all the glory here or anything, but I'm just going to throw out a couple, and then you guys can have at it. I wanted to throw out, Saw. We just talked about Saw. I was going to go Saw 2, but
Me
once
too.
again, we did a podcast about the whole Saw franchise that lasted 4 hours, I think.
Four and a half hours, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only a handful that you could choose for it to work from that, but
right.
I might go Saw 5 over Saw 2, but definitely not over Jigsaw.
Fair enough.
I've only made it to 4. I bought the 8 DVDs for $10 at Walmart, rather to not rent it or whatever. And me and my girlfriend went through and watched the first 4. So I saw 2 last month. Well, all the first 4, and really only, so far I would just pick Saw 2 just to kind of fit the mold better than Saw 1 because it's only 2 guys really.
Right. So I had Predators on the list, but quite frankly, Chris and I just talked about that, I think in October or September, and
The Mummy episode, you guys talked about it.
yeah, conceptually, it fits what we're talking about, but it just wasn't a great movie. It was a movie that fit the description, I guess. And
It wasn't a bad movie. It had some cool set pieces and shit, but yeah,
It doesn't live up to the premise.
if I was doing a top 10, it might have been around 10 or 11, somewhere in that area.
yeah, honestly, it probably would have been in my 20, between 20 and 30, somewhere in there for me, to be perfectly honest. A movie that I was surprised that none of us went for was Zombieland.
Shit, you know what? I forgot about that because you fucking brought that one up and reminded me about it, and I said, "Oh shit, I forgot." I guess I forgot it twice.
I mean, it has the 4 main plus Bill Murray. It fits all the criteria. It's a fantastic movie. I think it's a fantastic movie. I don't really know many people that dislike Zombieland. I do know that there are people that do dislike it, but by and large, I think most people talk positively about it. Would you guys agree that it fits the criteria?
Oh, yeah.
I would, and I would also. I don't know if it's coming up next, but I would suggest if we're going Zombieland to add the first Stakeland into it too.
Stakeland is somewhere on this list. I really, really, really wish I had gone and alphabetized it like I told Kevin I was going to, but I did not. But yeah, Stakeland is down there eventually. So yes, Stakeland was a really solid movie. I never watched the second one. Have either of you?
I watched the second one, and it's a direct sequel, so it's not kind of. It wraps up the story between the two of them, but it's not. It wouldn't fit the criteria because at this point, I think you're missing Kelly McGillis. I don't think she came back for it, but everybody else who was in the first one isn't. So everybody's already the same thing. I wouldn't put Zombieland 2. Well, I guess you could because they have that new group that comes in, but before that, it's these people aren't strangers. At this point, they're like a family kind of deal.
Right. All right. And then I had 28 Days Later. I had Snakes on a Plane just for laughs, but it does fit the criteria in its own really stupid way. I don't... What are you guys' thoughts on Snakes on a Plane?
Is it a horror movie?
Do you find it enjoyable?
Go ahead, Kevin.
Oh, do you guys consider it a horror movie? Would you tell
I would say comedy horror.
Yeah.
Horror adjacent, maybe?
Yeah.
Go on.
I mean, there's a lot of movies I like that I could put on the. I mean, Climax I liked, and I wouldn't tell someone, "Oh, this is a horror movie." There's certain movies that are considered horror movies for some reason. But yeah, Snakes on the Plane. Yeah, I mean it's fun. If it's one of those movies, you're either into it or you're not, and you can make the decision of whether you want to be into it or not. I feel.
Don't you know, like, right off the bat, though, like, this movie is either for me or not? Because it's called Snakes on a Plane, and if you've seen, like, just 10 seconds of the trailer, you should know, like, nobody should go into that movie and be like, oh, I'm disappointed. No. You saw the trailer, you know what it is.
But see, I don't know. I mean, I would say that the trailer, you had almost two different trailers, when
Really?
it was coming. Well, you had the one side where they were trying to make it look like it was a horror movie, like Jaws on a plane. And then you had the other side where they were playing into, get this goddamn snakes off this goddamn,
Once they realized that that'd be far more marketable.
Yeah, and the premise seems like almost something that you would let your kids watch, but then you actually watch it, and there's some like really brutal fucking kills in that. Like they don't shy away from like some of the shit that the snakes do when they fucking bite you. So I think that you hit it on the head when you said you can go into it and enjoy it, and it's going to be up to you to choose to do so. But yeah, I mean, if somebody wanted to argue and say, "Hey, this is a horror movie," I wouldn't argue against it. And if somebody wanted to argue and say, "This is a straight up comedy," I don't find it scary at all. I wouldn't argue against it either. I mean, some of my family just found out that I do this podcast after we've been doing it for years, and they were talking to me, and I was like trying to be like, it's almost hard now because we've watched so many horror movies to actually find something scary. So, trying to figure out what is and what isn't horror anymore when very few things actually bother you, can be difficult.
Plus,
yeah, go ahead.
Wouldn't you say, like, I find as I get older that I find that I can't typically just say a movie is simply one genre. Like, almost all movies now are like some amalgamation of two or more genres, really.
Except for Jingle All the Way, that's just shit. But besides that.
True. I'm not going to deny that. So, yeah, I don't know. Snakes on a Plane, it doesn't... I think we've probably given it more discussion than it probably even deserves, but I'm happy we got to talk about it.
Here's one I'd like to throw out to you, and tell me if you think this fits the definition, but do you remember Ravenous?
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
I was like, does it fit, though? Because, like, outside of Guy Pearce, all those guys are... And Robert Carlyle, all those other guys are soldiers who work together, who know each other,
Okay, so I'll just toss in my 2 cents because it's like something I want. I'll just say this: I kind of wanted to get to a point in this conversation where we were going to throw out movies that we weren't sure if it qualified. So, Ravenous is a good example. I don't know if it does qualify. I wouldn't be mad at you. Like, I wouldn't be like, Chris, it doesn't qualify. I sat there and I questioned, like, is it or isn't it? I don't know. It's gray area for me.
I mean, that's one that if I felt like it qualified, I would have definitely put on my list. But I was like, this is borderline, so I don't know if I can make it work. So I'm not even going to try to, worm my way into making it fit our criteria.
Do you think
I'd have to rewatch it. Like, it would be one that I would be, I would definitely let it fit too. I tried to make Alien 3 work and it just wasn't happening.
Yeah.
I really like Alien 3. I know there are a lot of people who fucking hate it, but for whatever reason, the point of my life when I saw it, it really resonated with me.
Yeah, it's really great.
Yeah, I think it was at the point of time when I was in my teens and just realizing that, like, the world could suck sometimes.
And the Super Nintendo game was so good. And it made me, like... it made me like kind of re-love the movie because I would like obsessively play that video game. So I
really love Charles Dance, and like the first thing I ever saw him in was The Golden Child, and he was just kind of a funny character in that. But seeing him having kind of like a renaissance, as he got
Game of
older,
Thrones.
it just made me a Game of Thrones, even that shitty ass fucking Dracula, Untold, like Alien 3, Last Action Hero. I mean, some of this shit he's done, he's just I don't know, I like him as an actor. He's able to really be that, distinguished fucking British guy. Also, he was one of the voices in Witcher 3, and that's one of my favorite games of all time, so.
How you feeling about Henry Cavill, whatever, dropping out of the show after next week?
Well, I came into the Witcher fandom through the video games rather than straight up through the books. So everything that I liked was basically the equivalent of fan fiction in the first place. I've read some of the books since then, and I like them, but it's not as big a deal for me as like making changes in that as it would be like what they did with like the Rings of Power. Something that I've grown up with since I was a little kid. My walls used to be decorated with all of the J.R.R. Tolkien calendar paintings that we would rip off and use as wallpaper because we were cheap. So I don't know. We'll have to see. Like, I liked season 1. I liked season 2 better because it had more Geralt. And like my mom was asking me that same question right after the shit got announced. I was like, let's see what season 3's like. If season 3 shits the bed, nobody's going to give a shit because nobody's going to care about season 4 in the first place. If season 3 is head and tails above season 1 and season 2 in terms of quality, then it's probably going to be a blow, and we'll have to see. I don't think Liam Hemsworth is a bad actor by any means. But, I always like the idea of somebody caring about a role so much that they're willing to go and fight for it in order to obtain it, like Henry did to get cast as Geralt in the first place. So, we'll see. And, I mean, I don't know. Between the stories that we've seen and then just the fact that he's getting recast as Superman, and he's got Highlander going forward, and they're trying to get him to be Commander Shepard in the Mass Effect TV series if it ever happens, and he's got, the bit part, but he's still as, Sherlock in Enola Holmes. So he's got a fucking full plate, and I'm happy for him because he seems like out of all the actors in Hollywood and Britain and anywhere where they're really marketed over here as like the type of person I would fucking love to hang out with because we play the same type of video games, we're into the same type of board games. He values his privacy, and if I ever became famous in any capacity whatsoever, that would be like my number one consideration. So
Okay, so that's Chris's love letter to Henry Cavill. That's cute.
Yeah.
thanks, Kent.
I haven't seen The Witcher, but I do like Henry Cavill.
Actually, to go along with that quickly, James Gunn now taking over DC kind of thing. Like, good choice.
I like the Suicide Squad.
I think we'll have to see overall, because James Gunn, I think, is a great filmmaker. I mean, look at like his, like, forget the schlocky stuff, but he learned his craft from some masters, like Roger Corman. But like his comedy is definitely on point, whether it's horror comedy like Slither or superhero comedy like Guardians of the Galaxy and Suicide Squad and Peacekeeper.
Juliet.
Like, yeah, I mean, so we'll have to see. Like, he's shown that he can do comedy. He's shown that he can attempt to do horror with, like Brightburn. But we haven't really seen him try to do straight stuff. Like, even Super was dark, but it was dark comedy. So, I mean, on the other hand, he's not just the only head. So his production partner has done a bunch of the superhero stuff for DC previously from a producer standpoint. So I think, if nothing else, the fact that they actually have people to do like a Kevin Feige type role, wherein they say, okay, instead of doing 4 different versions of the Batman, we're going to, pick one version and stick with it to try to make it work, is the right kind of thing. If what they're attempting to do is to do something to rival Marvel, get a DCEU going for all intents and purposes. Personally, I don't think the tack that they've done for the last couple of years, where they're doing just individual projects, has been bad, because I liked the Batman, I liked Joker. A lot of their animated stuff has been super fucking good. Doom Patrol is one of my favorite shows on TV, so we'll see. I mean, he said, right after he took over, he and his partner, that they're listening to fans and what they want. So, they talked about, I don't know if anything will happen, but giving us the David Ayer cut of the first Suicide Squad movie, which I would find interesting, because that movie seemed like it had a lot of potential, and then you can definitely tell it was a studio hack job where the people couldn't come together in favor of like an artistic vision.
Yeah.
I have to admit something. I blanked out for a good minute of you talking because Kevin mentioned Romeo and Juliet, which really one of my favorite things that come out in the mid to late 90s, and I think it possibly is available on Peacock. I don't know if anybody knows that Peacock has like a bunch of the Troma movies. Just
Are they for the free Peacock, or are they for the subscriber only Peacock stuff?
I really don't. I don't like how Peacock having 3 different tiers of shit.
Oh, there's 3?
There's like a
they
free,
do wrestling, right?
And then they had for October,
That's what
they
I
had
got.
a $2 a month, and then a $7, and it's just arduous. But
My wife signed up for the free one, so I went in there. I was like, "Oh, there's a bunch of shit I want to watch," and everything was on the pay tier. I'm like, I already have so many streaming.
Get one
services,
episode.
I can't. I don't want to do another one on top of everything else.
Yeah.
I feel
Me
that
too.
the Roku channel is covering a ton of stuff that's like Peacock now as well. So that's always an option for anybody that is looking for Peacock content.
Good to know. I'll have to check that out, because I just watched Weird
Roku.
yesterday.
Okay.
Oh.
Did you watch that yet, Kevin?
No, I haven't. It's on the list.
I enjoyed it. Did you have fun with it, Chris?
I am glad that, when I first saw the trailers, it just announced it as like the biopic, and then, reading the reviews and realizing, okay, this is a parody of Weird Al's real life. So it's not his actual, it was fucking amazing. It was just crazy, over the top. I fucking loved it. Daniel Radcliffe killed it. Evan Rachel Wood killed it. I mean, it's just a fucking amazing.
It really was, and I was cracking up because I'm watching it with Raylene, and she's like, "Did this really happen?" I'm like, "Yes."
Yes, Raylene.
Yes, it
Weird Al died in 1985, Raylene.
Him and Madonna, they had a nice relationship, and what was it, Pablo Escobar, and oh my god. Yeah, I had a great time with it. So, Kevin, I imagine you will too if you're a fan of Weird Al, which I don't. Now, there's a person, I don't know a single person that ever says anything negative about Weird Al.
Oh, yeah, he's great. I actually got to see him a couple years ago doing the orchestra tour.
That would be cool. That would have been a real cool thing to see.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. My first time I got to see him. Yeah, so that was pretty. And like one thing I really took away from that concert was that he did an entire set with an orchestra and didn't do any of the Michael Jackson songs. Like, that's pretty much like as a child, like how I became like a fan of him, and like I would think that would be like a staple. And for him to do like an entire show, and like I knew at least 75% of the songs, maybe 80% of them, and didn't feel cheated at all. So, uh, yeah, Weird Al for life.
I think one of the coolest things from listening to his albums were the polka remixes that he would do of shit. And because they were polka, none of them ever got played on the fucking radio. But listening to like some of the polka compilations that he would do on some of it, I'm like, Jesus Christ, this not only is this good, but he's mixing like fucking Bohemian Rhapsody with other fucking Queen songs and doing it to polka. I mean, shit like that's
Nails.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, he's he's not like in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I guess he's his own genre in and of itself, but I don't know. Can't they make like an exception and get him in?
I think it's funny because he's really known for his parody stuff. But if you listen to any of his albums, like he'll have like an 18-track album, and 2 of them will be parodies, and 16 of them will be original compositions, and yet nobody knows any of those original songs. They're all just fucking focusing on the parodies.
Pretty much. I also love the Coolio scene in the movie.
Oh, and I love the fact that he absolutely, positively wrote "Eat It" before Michael Jackson ever wrote "Beat It."
Yes. All right.
All right, to get back to our main topic,
Yeah.
Kent. Come
All
on,
right.
Jesus, why are you segueing so much?
All right. So before I get back to the list, I guess I'd be more interested to know, Kevin, what movies did you think may or may not have actually made sense for the list? Did you have some questionable ones?
That I think Alien 3 was one that I was dead set on. So the what is it? House of Nine. Have you guys seen that,
Yes.
Chris?
House of Nine.
House
I
of
don't
Nine.
Yeah, it
believe
has
I have.
Dennis Hopper.
And that's
No,
like
I
about
don't
it.
think I have.
So, like, I think it would easily fit in the list of like, so it's like it's 9 strangers, and they all wake up in this hotel room, and and it's exactly like I would explain it as House on Haunted Hill and Saw 2, like, got together to try and make some cash and like fail miserably. Not because the movie's bad, but just the kind of premise of it, and it just didn't do that well. But yeah, so there's 9 people, they're all strangers. They wake up and then realize they are from various backgrounds, and then they're offered $5 million to the survivor of the night, and whoever can only be one survivor, and the idea of the list was originally to like people who work together, and they do work together, but it is like the exact opposite of the other ones, because usually like working together and not going on self-interest or like hoarding food or whatever, or giving off rape vibes, all of that. That really, the way the movie goes is that like the more, when people start dying and people start killing each other, they get rewarded. So in that way, it was kind of like worked in the opposite way. But I liked it.
Yeah, I had it on the list because I definitely considered it, but I hadn't seen it in, gosh, I don't even know, probably 8 years minimum, 8 to 10 years ago. So my memory was very skittish at best. So I didn't, obviously didn't crack my list. But yeah, I think it belonged, no doubt. I'll throw a movie out there that I don't even know if there's a definitive answer whether it belongs or not, but Wreck/Quarantine. Because it's like an apartment building, so you assume that, some people know their neighbors, but it wasn't like a huge apartment building, so I don't know. Would that have qualified, or do we just not know enough about the relationships among the tenets to know.
I mean, I saw it on a lot of lists, looking up this very fucking thing. And again, that was one of the ones I was like, oh, this is such a popular horror movie. I'm like, everybody would pick it.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. It's very good.
So you don't get backstory on the tenants? Is that... Because, like, the less story you have, the more you could just kind of, like, push it. So I would say yes.
Bullshit your way.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't do Alien 3 because the writing was so goddamn good that, like, because that group of men that were on the planet, like, my opening argument would be, like, there's no one stranger than the people you're locked up with. But they're like a brotherhood, and they took celibacy, and then, like, when Charles S. Dutton tells these two guys they're like don't want to go out on a job with this other guy, that they're going to do it because they're brothers. I was like, it's too solid. Even the lore of like a woman, they're all, convicts and stuff. So I think the I know you said it's a good movie, but like the less information they give you in writing of stories, you can kind of like make it what you want.
Sure. It's funny because, okay, so there was House of Nine. There's also a movie called Nine Dead, which I had also seen, which also really fit this criteria. It had Melissa Joan Hart in it. She was bad in it, I thought. I don't know. I used to like her much better as Clarissa Explains It All. But it's funny that 9 seems to be like a perfect number for these types of movies, apparently.
I wanted to see that, but it wasn't on anything for free. I wasn't going to pay for it, but I did see that on a couple lists, the 9 Dead.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend paying for it, but if you can at some point find it free, it's probably worth it. Just, the idea every 10 minutes, one of the 9 strangers has to die, and they have to try to figure out the connection. By now it almost feels like a formulaic thing, but, once again, that's kind of thanks to Cube and then everything else that happened after, really. So, I'll present another movie that I really wasn't sure if it could have been argued for this. Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
I was thinking about that one.
Me too. I thought about it.
Because we don't know, like, if they went to school together. It seems like they didn't hang out with each other if they did go to school together prior. Like, it didn't seem like they were friends. None of them were friends, right?
Well, it just seems like they were, like, all, like, locked up in, like, whatever kind of home it is. The psych ward, right?
Weston Hills.
Yeah, so they were all committed by their family. So, I mean, and they really don't seem like they get along at all in the beginning of that movie, right? And then they kind of,
right, because Kincaid's a dick to everybody, and I guess
been a minute.
Dungeon Master and Joey kind of get along well, but everybody else kind of, what's her face wants to just be a TV star, so she just watches TV. The other one wants to blow the guy to get drugs, and like, none of them really have connections all that much. And, Kristen, she's awesome in her dreams because she could do a cartwheel. Yeah. But I figured I could have made the argument for it, but once again, knowing what we're doing in 2023 for a podcast, I felt it was a conversation best saved for later.
So
go
ahead.
Oh, go.
I was going to say I got 6 more that I wasn't sure if could make the list or not. But
please do, because I got a long list, so I don't want to be the one that only talking.
Okay, I'll just shoot them off quickly. Screamers with Peter Weller from 1995. It's been a while since I saw this, so I didn't remember how many of them are strangers. Same thing for this. Critters from 1980. I don't remember how many of them were strangers, but at least there were the locals and then the aliens.
Wait, from Critters, one? So there was the family at home.
Yeah, the first one.
With the family of 4 with Dee Wallace.
Yeah.
And then the town folk who kind of, I think they all knew each other, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would think that...
Was it the first one or the second one that had the alien bounty hunters show up, though, to take out the...
Second one.
Okay. So second one probably would have made more sense. House 2, the second story.
Yeah.
You can't go with the first one, but the second one definitely had a group going between Jesse, Charlie, Gramps, John Ratzenberg's character, the Aztec priestess that they rescued. So I would argue that one. The first Mimic from 1997.
Ooh, okay.
Especially by the end when you've got, a couple of the scientists knew each other, but then you also have Charles Dutton and Giancarlo Giannini and the little kid.
Yeah, I think
Mr. Funny Shoes together.
I actually saw that not that long ago. So, yeah, I think you could.
Fuck that movie. Fuck that movie. I hate that movie.
I did a whole week of Guillermo del Toro movies because I haven't really seen them, and it just happens that he made that movie early on.
It took like two of the worst things in my, like roaches and praying mantises, and squashed them together and made them giant. So fuck.
And
that.
like human-like.
Oh yeah, that really like ticks everything that fucking bothers me about bugs. And then I guess the last one, and this is probably more of a horror adjacent, but would be Gremlins 2.
Oh yeah, actually.
Everybody knows who Hulk Hogan is, though, Chris.
Well, yes, but that's just one person.
Do they still? Does anyone still know who Hulk Hogan is? They all knew who Hulk Hogan was in 1990.
You know what? That's a good point, Kevin. That's a very good point.
I mean, if they do, they know mostly bad things, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think he'd probably be more well known for bad
the reality show.
He was actually an answer on Supermarket Sweep, an episode I just saw recently. I mean, obviously an old episode, but I was like, oh.
Dude, I just realized that fucking Christopher Lee's character in that movie was named Dr. Catheter.
Oh, fantastic.
I mean, wow.
All right. Kevin, did you have other movies that you kind of were iffy about?
I kind of just stuck to...
No?
Yeah, the list. I
True.
mean, really, Alien 3 was the one.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to go down the list, and if there's stuff we want to talk about, sure. Kind of more quick hits. Langoliers, which is a guilty pleasure. Kevin and I just...
That one totally fits,
earlier. It
does. In an interesting way, too, because of that, the whole time portal thing.
I would like to see that story redone. You can change the story around a little bit to make it more movie friendly if need be, but I really think you could make a really good movie out of that premise.
Dude, 4 Past Midnight, I think that was what it originally came out in, is one of my favorite Stephen King books. And they've already shown that they can do a good job with Secret Window, Secret Garden. So I would love to see a Langoliers remake that was good. And I would love to see a Library Policeman one. And the Sundog. All 4 of them were fucking really good stories.
Yeah. Another one that I think Kevin already talked about, Assault on Precinct 13. You definitely could have made an argument, even though it's not full-on horror. I mean, come on. There is the scene where the car's just rolling down the street and the gun just pops out the window in the silliest way possible. I will forever be grateful for that movie.
Are you talking just the original or the original and the remake?
I've never seen the remake.
I like the remake too. So it's not, again, it's one of those remakes that didn't diminish the original.
Yeah, I like the remake too. And then the remake kind of did, the John Carpenter one is so gritty, and the Ethan Hawke one is very like a polished action film from the early 2000s is and that's what it is. So I like that too. So the prisoners, they have prisoners inside. I don't remember. So is it that random of the people? Because I guess that would be the only way that I wouldn't be sure.
I don't know how many of those people really knew.
In the remake, at least, you had some civilians get caught in there too because of the storm going on outside, Maria Bello.
Yeah, I feel like there was enough people that didn't know each other directly that you could make the argument, but it also wasn't horror enough to really bother making the argument. It just kind of sort of fit the criteria, I guess. So, one I thought one of us was going to bring up was Train to Busan.
Oh, fuck. Yes, that was on my list too, but it was on my old list, the one I've made.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, I got pumped because I didn't realize I still hadn't seen Peninsula, and then, even though I've heard a lot of not as good things about it, but I saw that you had it on your Vudu, so that got me excited, Kent. So I'm going to watch that.
Yeah,
in the next
I
couple
haven't
days.
watched it yet, but I plan on it. But yeah, Train to Busan.
No.
You haven't seen it, Kevin?
I was going to.
You owe it to yourself, Kevin. It's definitely.
Yeah, I don't want to overhype it, but it really was a damn good film.
Top 2 or 3 zombie movies, I'd say, that I've seen.
Yeah. It's high up there for me, too. Once again, I don't want to overhype it. You make your own opinion, but it genuinely is a really good... It does everything that World War Z seemed to want to do, but just didn't quite get there, I guess.
Seen that either.
I had a movie called Countdown from a list, and I haven't seen it. I know it was on Netflix. Have either of you guys seen Countdown?
Give me some premise.
I would, but I don't know.
What year did it come out? Who was in it?
2019?
I don't think I've seen it.
Okay, like when a nurse downloads an app that claims to predict the moment a person will die, it tells her she only has 3 days to live. With the clock ticking and a figure haunting her, she must find a way to save her life before time runs out. I'm assuming at that point she probably meets up with random strangers. It showed up like on 2 lists, so that's the only reason I bring it up. Otherwise I'm just speaking out my ass. I have no idea. So, I can move on to The Platform. That's on Netflix. I'm guessing one or both of you have seen The Platform, maybe?
Was that the one with the food?
The food,
Okay,
yeah.
I was thinking of that. I couldn't fucking remember the name. I was like, well, I can't put a movie that I don't remember what the fucking title was on it.
I couldn't remember the name either. I went through like things that I
was like,
watched.
The Lift? Was it called The Lift?
Like, I don't know if it really belongs on the list or not. Debatable, but enjoyable.
No,
Kevin,
my girlfriend
have you
actually
seen it?
suggested it a couple years ago, and I've not gotten around to it. And I saw it on the list, and I was like, "Oh, this will be the time." And then I didn't end up watching it.
It's okay. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say it's a great movie, but it's a very interesting movie, if nothing else. So
I would agree with that. It's one that makes you think. Like it doesn't take a lot. Well, it takes a lot to scare me, but it doesn't take a lot to disturb me. And this was one of those ones that disturbed me.
yeah, that makes sense to me. It's definitely disturbing. A movie I'm pretty sure Kevin and I just discussed was Feast. That definitely meets all the criteria and is a fantastically fun movie, which once again fits our criteria of having a fun movie. Like, Chris, have you seen Feast?
I have not, which is why I didn't bring it up. But
Gotcha.
they've done like 3 of them now.
Yeah, and I think I have all of them on Vudu. I think
You do.
so. I will warn you. Even though you'll like the first one, and then you'll say, how bad could the next 2 be? Just be warned that they do dip in quality each time, so it is what it is. But the first Feast is a lot of fun with a couple of known actors.
I really, it's a lot of, it's like bloody and fun, and yeah, great cast. I like how they do the whole like introductions for them, because it gives you all the backstory,
Yes.
and and where like Jason Mewes plays himself. That like was a nice twist.
Yeah. Like, don't you actually, like, after seeing that, I was like, I wish more movies would do that, because there are some times where I can't figure out what the name of the character is until like 45 minutes into the damn movie. This, I'm like, oh, okay, that's their name, that's their deal, okay, I'm all in. Like, that's character development done beyond, like, super fast and effectively. So,
Had some
props
From
to
Dusk Till
that.
Dawn vibes, except they got to it like immediately.
Right. Yes, yeah, there was none of that first, 45 minute stuff. No, it was just right to it. Let's see. Howl.
Oh yeah, I remember. I saw that one. Yep, that was pretty
Kevin,
good.
did you see Howl?
No, I don't.
It's a
Is it
werewolf
kind of
movie.
recent?
Like maybe 7 years ago, 7 years ago.
That's
No.
about right.
This-
It takes place mostly on a train, right?
Yeah, on a train in Great Britain, Scotland,
I think so.
somewhere in Great Britain.
Yeah. It's actually one of the better
Really?
werewolf films as far as I'm concerned. I don't think there's a lot of great werewolf movies, though. So.
Yeah, we had a discussion of that when we did the top 10 werewolves, and it was pretty easy to do because
Not a lot.
You have some bad ones
Moving
by
on.
default. Yeah.
oh yeah, there are a lot of bad ones.
Yeah. I mean, I consider
Skin talkers.
Underworld
Yeah.
bad. What was the movie that you had me watch with Edward James Olmos? That was pretty decent.
Oh shit. No, I'm drawing a blank, man.
I think it's just like a one-word thing, and I can't remember it. But all right. Killing Room. Did either of you
Killing
see
Room?
that movie?
No.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
It's kind of another
Oh, Wolfen.
Wolfen. There you
Yeah,
go.
that was
Yeah.
older. Yeah, older.
Killing Room actually has Nick Cannon and Clea Duvall, Chloe Savini, Peter Stormare, Timothy Hutton. Pretty good cast, quite frankly.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
The movie itself, not so great, but like they're people that sign up that basically are part of a test, so to speak. That's the premise. So they're strangers. It's okay if you had free time and were interested in it. Go for it. Otherwise, completely missable. I had Rabbit and Shivers, but I can't remember enough to know whether they count or not, so left them off. Salo, Stakeland, The Tournament, I vaguely remember, and I think it fits the criteria, but I don't remember enough to keep it. Devil. M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh shit! Yeah, I actually watched it on your Vudu to actually be able to discuss it on this podcast, and then I forgot it.
Kevin, you seen it?
Oh no, I didn't. I saw that on the
Devil?
list too, but I didn't get around to it.
It's like a guilty... Okay, so I consider The Happening a guilty pleasure, but I know that's a really terrible movie. But Devil's not a bad movie. I mean, I would say it's a slightly above average movie. It's a perfect M. Night type film. I would definitely recommend it.
I do like M. Night
I don't
Shyamalan,
think it's a very
for the most
long
part.
movie.
You know, I liked Old.
Actually, I like a lot of his newer stuff. Like, I just don't like the middle chunk of his career, and I also don't like Sixth Sense. But, you know, early stuff and some of his newer... Like, I liked Old. I like, what was it, The Visits.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
So, yeah. Let's see. Identity. Would You Rather? That was a movie that I'm not sure if it qualified, and I'm guessing neither of you've seen it. But I do know that Kevin, at the very least,
Yes.
watched this next one. Inhuman Resources.
I have,
What did you
I
think?
have not seen that.
It was the only one I didn't take notes for because I just kind of like watched it early in the morning. Yeah, for Fangoria, it's pretty good. I am not a murderer. I'm a regional manager. It's the best line out of the whole thing.
Like, I liked that they tried, giving a little bit of a storyline twist, so to speak. Chris, you're probably never gonna make time to watch this, right?
I mean, if you're going to throw out spoilers, be my guest.
Basically, this guy kidnaps 6 people, and first and foremost, like within 5 minutes, we get tits. So they're trying to keep their audience. They're like, we have a semi-compelling story, but we need to have tits to keep our fans. So they give us tits, good. And he basically chains 6 people up to these desks with computers, and he wants them to basically prove that he is innocent of this murder that he claims to be innocent of. But he also has very brutal methods about him, so you're sitting there thinking like, hey, he's not a good guy. But in the end, he was innocent, but he was still kind of a dick. I don't know. It wasn't bad. I don't know. It was way better than I thought it would be.
It was fun. It's not
Kevin,
really like...
Was it better?
I wouldn't say a spoiler, Chris, because if you can get twist, this guy, without, like, I don't know, you're just like, okay, that guy did it. Like, I don't know how, but that's going to be the guy just by, like, deducting. I just
the way he acted,
like,
right?
Just play the odds of, like, 1 out of 6, right? Like, that one. And maybe it was halfway through, the 11 movies that I watched this week that you're just kind of like, yeah, that one. And I don't actually like to guess that kind of stuff because sometimes it takes me out of the movie and it makes me enjoy it less when I'm like, trying to figure out like, who the killers are in Scream 3. Yeah.
You're not going along for the ride.
That's what Ken and I have discussed this before, but like my number one thing that tells me this is a bad movie is when I'm taken so far out of it that I'm starting to try to guess the plot because I'm not enjoying where I'm watching anymore.
Yeah. All right. I got just a few more here. I saw The Cave on a couple of lists. I've never seen The Cave.
No.
Anybody? I'm guessing no. Okay.
No, I did not see that one.
Sunshine was also on a list, which also appeared on the Pandorum recommendations or whatever. And I've only seen it once. I can't vouch for that one way or the other. I think I enjoyed the movie, but I don't remember shit about it, to be honest.
Sunshine?
Yeah.
All right. Sunshine worked way better when it was something equivalent to like, shit. What was the one where they're going to the Europa Protocol, where it was hard sci-fi and they're already having to work against just nature and space and science to kickstart the sun by shooting a nuke into it, and then like halfway through it turns into a creature feature and degenerates from being, like a highbrow, really good sci-fi movie into being a subpar sci-fi creature feature.
So it was missing
Isn't
Steven
every
Tyler
movie?
and Aerosmith singing a song.
Yeah, I mean, it had a great cast, like Cillian Murphy and Chris Evans before he got big. I remember like Michelle Yeoh and shit. There were a couple other people, but yeah, once like the crazy fucking captain who somehow through like sun insanity has burned his whole skin and now he's almost like a fucking nonstop wrecking machine, with no skin, is when it lost me. But it was really visually stunning. I think it was another Alex Proyas movie.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
The Divide. Kevin, you watched The Divide, right? I didn't get... That was the one thing I really intended on doing, and I chose playing Halo Infinite a lot this week rather than doing research properly. So, can you tell us about The Divide?
Yeah. So The Divide, I actually really liked it. If I saw it more than once, maybe I'd put it on the list, but I only saw it once, so. But it's pretty simple. It's a nuclear attack happens on an apartment building, and Michael Bean is the superintendent, and he has a basement like bomb shelter at the bottom of it, and it's got like a Turkish bathhouse, and there is uh, 9 people, I think, eight, 8 or 9, I don't know, but 9 seems to be the number, so we'll say 9. So, and it has a pretty good cast of, and even the unknowns are like pretty pretty good. I think they've all done something, but it's Michael Biehn,
Yeah,
Rosanna Arquette.
since then you've had like Lauren German do Hostel 2 and then Lucifer and like Milo Ventimiglia ended up becoming big, through
Yeah,
shit after that. So
yeah,
Courtney B. Vance.
yeah, yeah. And Lauren German is really good in this, and the other things that I saw her in, I don't really remember her standing out. But yeah, it doesn't, the things it doesn't really go with like story. It felt like it had a lot of ideas and it tried to be more than what it could have been. But yeah, there's you know uh the radiation from the nuclear attack is like seeping in, and everyone it takes a little bit of time for them to go crazy, but they immediately break into the baked beans, and like 5 minutes in, they're just like, okay, we got all this food, baked beans, um, and
it gets
just,
super rapey too, doesn't it?
yeah, it takes a little while, but yeah, it like 30 minutes in, but it gets really rapey, and it's very sexually depraved. I liked it. There is one scene, because this is a movie I feel like it reminds me of when I was young, and like you could punch holes in the plot and the story and all of that, but there is a scene where it's 2 guys, and they have Rosanna Arquette as their sex slave, and they're both wearing like these masks, the like gas masks and the biohazard masks, and like the one guy's doing her doggy style, and the other guy is throwing peanuts at him. And he takes a can of baked beans, opens it up, and just starts pouring it on her back like it's like cocaine, like Jack Nicholson in The Departed, where he's just throwing cocaine on those girls. Like, but he's doing it with the baked beans. It's just crazy. It's a lot of fun, but it doesn't really try to have as much fun as I probably had with it. But yeah, for that alone,
Wasn't it directed by the guy who did that one that you made me watch, Kent?
Frontiers,
the French, yes,
Frontiers, and Hitman, also the Timothy Oliphant movie.
I think I gotta
so
watch
much
this.
now that I've seen Frontiers and Hitman. I was like, that's probably why it didn't make it to a franchise.
Xavier Gens, I think that's his name. But
Fantastic. Is it worth watching?
Oh yeah.
Would you recommend it?
At 2 hours, it is a bit long, and I watched it on Tubi, and so it's free, and with commercials, it probably was like 2.5 hours, maybe more, but I didn't mind it. It was also one of like the first 3 or 4 movies I watched this week of these kinds of movies. So, but yeah, I would recommend it.
Another movie that you and I talked about, I think you'd watched it, was Exam, right?
No,
Kevin?
I didn't. That was a movie I was kind of asking
okay.
about.
Gotcha.
You see it?
Chris, did you see it?
I have not. Exam? I don't think so, no.
Okay. I'm going to recommend it, despite me not being able to recommend or remember too much. It was like 8 people are applying for this like high-end job, and they have to pass this exam. They're alone. They're in this room, and there's very strict guidelines, and some crazy shit happens. Pollyanna McIntosh. This was like the first time I had seen her. She was also in The Woman. She's been in Walking Dead. She's done some stuff, and I think there's like 1 or 2 other people that you may know from other things. I don't know if you can find it to watch for free.
I read about this one, but I haven't seen it.
I didn't see it on anything that I
let's
had,
see.
anyways, and I have a decent amount of streamers.
Well, I'm checking out JustWatch.com because that thing has saved me so much damn time. All right, let's see. Watch now. You can stream it on AMC Plus.
Got that.
Or you do have it?
MC Plus, yeah.
Okay. Or DirecTV. So if it's on AMC Plus, I wonder if it's also on was it Shudder? It might be on Shudder.
They have Shudder and then IFC movies.
Yeah, so I'll have to check Shudder. If it's on Shudder, I'd definitely rewatch it because I have Shudder for another 2 or 3 months at a decent price. So, another. I got a couple more here. The Hunt. I think I probably talked about it on a previous podcast. I thoroughly enjoyed the movie, despite thinking it was going to be complete and utter trash. It fits the criteria. It is politically charged, and I don't like politically charged stuff, but there was enough comedy that it worked for me.
I still haven't seen it, but yeah, we talked about that before.
I haven't seen it either.
Yeah. And then I had a couple of questionable things that, in hindsight, the only thing that I really can't tell for sure is if any of the Purge movies would have fit the criteria, but there's only a couple of good Purge movies. Like,
Purge,
was there 5?
Purge 2.
Purge
I've only seen the first one.
Purge 2 would have fit.
Yeah, I don't like the first one, despite me loving Ethan Hawke and
Lena
I
Headey.
can't think. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I really like Lena Headey. But
Part 2 and Part 3 have Frank Grillo, and I'm all in on Frank Grillo.
Part 2 was the best in the series, I think.
I would agree.
And then Part 3 was, I still liked it. Like Purge 1, Kevin, was one of those movies, for example, where I liked the premise. I went in really expecting a lot, especially because I think it was one of the first things Ethan Hawke did right after Sinister. Maybe it was before, but it was right around the same time. And then as I'm watching it, I'm just like, the stupid decisions they're making are just taking me out of the movie. I'm like, this guy fucking works for the security company, but he doesn't build a, panic room in his house in case, the security thing that is very fucking low key that he admits is horrible doesn't work. I'm like, and your neighbors want to kill you because they hate you, but you're just gonna let them go, so they're gonna try to do it again next year. I'm like, what the?
Yeah.
Anyways,
the logic was flawed.
Anyways, Purge 2 actually, I think, strung together into a decent, group under fire, having to keep moving to survive kind of movie. And yeah, Frank Grillo is definitely what fucking solidified that. That was one of the first things I saw that really made me like Frank Grillo. I'd seen him as like a character actor in a couple things before that, but I was like, yeah, this guy should be a fucking leading man.
Is he in Cop Shop? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
same guy.
really like Cop Shop a lot. That's like my.
I've been trying to find some place to watch it, and everywhere I look, it's like one of those things where it's like, oh, this is on the one streaming channel that you don't have, that you don't want to sign up for like $19.95 a month to watch.
Peacock, I think, had it for like when it first came out.
Fuck
I know.
Peacock. Fuck you. Peacock.
I saw it in the theater and I bought it. Like, so that's how I.
That's probably what I'm going to end up having to do, anyways, because I really like Gerard Butler. And
You
I
probably
really
like
Frank
it. It's not like super gritty, but it's fun. It's a fun action film. I would say for action movies, it's like I'd say it's like a B plus, maybe A minus, which is pretty good for action films, I believe.
Oh yeah, that's all you need. All right, Ken, what else you got?
I got nothing else. We should probably wrap this up. We should probably talk about what we're doing next month, which is the non-horror podcast of our year.
Oh, sorry, I realized this was, I finally got hit with the forgetting to unmute myself thing.
Okay. Yep.
All right, so first of all,
that pause was really awkward, by the way.
First of all, Kent, I did finish watching 4 things in between the last time we talked and now. So just to hit them up really quick, I finished Midnight Club. which was
Recommended?
really good. I would recommend it. I mean, it's definitely the most teen of all of the stuff Mike Flanagan has done, but I mean, it's based on Christopher Pike books, so that should be expected. But there was definitely some brutality. I was not like, you know what the premise is, right?
Yes.
All these kids are terminal with cancer or some other disease, and they go to this hospice to live out their final days, you know, among people who are in a similar situation, so they're not feeling, you know, as outsiders. And then they meet every midnight and tell horror stories to try to scare each other. So one of the cool things was that Heather Langenkamp plays one of the main characters, the doctor who runs the hospice in that. And then every story that they're telling, you know, they're portraying themselves as the characters that they're talking about. And they've got her in each one of the individual stories playing some different character in it. So it was nice to not only see her in a role, but actually get to go ahead and stretch herself as an actress, you know, doing, you know, 8 or 9 different versions of, you know, herself as a character. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it. And unlike all of the other series that Mike Flanagan's done so far, you know, Haunting of Hill House, Haunting of Bly Manor, Midnight Mass, this one is going to be, it's getting at least one more season. So that'll be interesting to see. I watched Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities, and for me, it was a mixed bag. You know, I've seen enough Guillermo del Toro movies where I know that not everything he's going to do is going to be scary. And I mean, to be fair, he didn't do these. These were all other horror directors that he gave shots to. Most of them were good. I mean, like we mentioned, one of them was the director of Cube. One of them was the director of Like a Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. I don't remember what everything else. One of them was the director.
Oh, really?
One of them was the director of The Babadook. So I mean, every single one of these was done by somebody. You know, Panos Cosmatos or whatever his name
Beyond
is.
the Black Rainbow, I believe that's what it's called.
And Beyond the Black. So then, shit, I forgot. So every one of the directors was someone who has done something else in horror. Usually, typically, like an indie movie. So my biggest problem was that I was hoping to be scared. And like I said earlier, it's hard to scare yourself sometimes when you watch so many movies within this genre that you kind of desensitize yourself. But there were definitely a couple that were, like, you watched, in my opinion, the least scary episode out of all of them. But I don't think you would argue that Andrew Lincoln or Essie Davis gave a poor performance. I think they gave really strong performances. It's just like really strong performances for like a drama in the middle of a fucking horror anthology.
They were great,
Yeah.
I thought. Quick question. How was episode 4, The Outside, the one
Dude.
done?
All right, the best... Kevin, did you
No,
watch
I
this yet?
haven't. But
All right, so straight down, the best episode was The Autopsy, number 3.
Okay.
That was...
I was only intrigued by this because of the A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. It was
So
great.
number 3 was the best, hands down. Number 4 was fucking weird, but it was fucking weird in a way that I liked, versus number 7, which was weird in just a way that made me feel uncomfortable, if you know what I mean. Like, and not uncomfortable like I don't want to, you know, like something like a Serbian Story is trying to make you feel, just uncomfortable. Like, I don't understand what the point of this is. This feels like it's meandering and rambling, and they're not getting anywhere with it.
Which is a shame. It has one of the better, like,
Yeah, it's got a good
well-known
cast.
cast.
But episode 3 was amazing. Episode 4 was really good, but it was weird. Episode 5 and episode 6 were good. Episode 8 was just kind of non-horror, like almost even non-horror adjacent.
It was good. It just wasn't horror.
And
That's all.
and like episode 2 and 1 were good, but they, like, 2 had some interesting ideas, but it wasn't, like, to me the scariest idea was the fact that, like, this guy's in a bunch of tunnels underneath the city, and like the whole idea of being buried alive, fucking bothers me. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely worth a watch, but just be aware that you're getting like a mixed bag, and again, like not everything is. I don't think probably anything is going to scare you. So I mean, if you're going in expected to be scared, maybe pass by that one.
I don't ever expect to be scared by anything anymore, but I also don't expect everything in an anthology to be good.
Yeah, I mean, and what it boils down to, and what I really liked about it, is hopefully it gets another season, because this was basically Guillermo del Toro getting a bunch of money from Netflix and throwing it to a bunch of indie horror directors and saying, hey, make something for me.
Right.
So yeah, I hope we get a season 2. He does the same kind of thing again.
Sure.
So I watched that. I think the next thing I watched, you've seen, which was The Black Phone.
I saw it in the theater.
You were disappointed, correct? If I remember correctly.
What?
You were
I was disappointed.
Yes.
Yes, I deeply yes.
Like wouldn't say that I was deeply disappointed, but I was hoping for more that I didn't get.
Okay. Did it feel like they were spoon-feeding everything? Like, all right, kid calls, kid listens, now we're moving on. Like, it just felt like the same damn thing every time. That's what got me.
Let's put it like this. It's an hour and 43 minutes, and it felt like it could have been like an hour and 25 minutes, and it wouldn't have been a problem. It might have been tighter. Like, as much as I like James Ransone, I think they could have, like, cut his entire character, and it wouldn't have hurt.
Oh, yeah.
Like my wife watched it with me, and she was like, I don't understand, what was the whole point of the sister? Like, she really, her visions really didn't affect anything at all, but, they were such a large portion of the movie.
Just to build sympathy or something. I don't know. It wasn't a bad movie. It was really well acted. But then you had, like, the cliche, like, oh, there's a door and it's only slightly open. Who's going to be behind it? Oh, there's Ethan Hawke. There's a shock. Like, what is this? The 60s, 50s? Like, I don't know.
I mean, and juxtapose that with, like, how realistic it felt, at the beginning parts. Like, those kids were, like, beating the shit out of each other.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the one fucking Jeremy Davis goes to fucking town on his daughter with the belt. I'm like, that made me feel uncomfortable to have to fucking watch.
Super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I just think that it got a lot of hype, and it sounded good in my head, and then watching it, I didn't feel the same excitement as I had going into it. And
you know what it reminded me of? Like, not in the way of the execution, but, like, in the way I felt disappointment. Like, I loved Sinister, and then I think having the kids talk to the victims in Sinister 2 brought that down. They were scared. Like, we needed
big time.
We needed more into the background, I think, of the grabber. That would have. It's like Ethan Hawke was great. He's compelling as a fucking good guy. He's compelling as a bad guy, and they didn't do anywhere near as much with him as they could have. Chop some of the fucking secondary, ancillary fucking stories and characters. Give us more with him. And I think it would have worked better.
How was your experience in the theater with it, Kevin?
It was I liked it, but it was like the beginning was good, and when I saw the preview for it the first time, like as soon as I saw the kid pick up the phone, I was like, like if it was just a child abductor movie, like I thought it would have been pretty like scary, and like with Ethan Hawke in that role, like he was great. He's the reason why I went, even though I thought it was going to be kind of, I don't know. Sometimes the supernatural stuff was kind of cheesy, and it being like a phone. But I had a good time with it. I do think the ending was a little bit like too happy and too corny. But I wrote for my notes in my like watch app. It says Stephen King, The Next Generation.
Yeah, I mean, I would straight up agree with you. Like, it's not that it was bad, It's just that between Scott Derrickson, Ethan Hawke, and Joe Hill, I was expecting more.
Yeah. I think it was... If you don't have those people attached, or just one of those three, maybe expectations aren't as high, and maybe you go in and you say, I'm expecting an average movie, you get an average movie, and there's no complaints. But people were acting like it was some great movie online. Like, it was getting really positive feedback, and I don't know.
And,
Yeah.
okay, and then lastly, the last thing I've seen since the last time we talked was Barbarian.
All right, Chris, I have to ask you the question.
Okay.
First night that they're there, she locks her bedroom door. She wakes up, the bedroom door is open. Who unlocked the door?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I've asked so many people that have watched it, and like you can kind of think like, oh, maybe this, but like I don't know. I feel like I have a retort to everything. I can't soundly. I have nothing other than I believe that there's more than just her.
I mean, they definitely leave it open for the potential.
That or is the homeless guy? I'm kind of hoping it was the homeless guy. Somehow he had keys to the freaking place. I don't know. Did you like Barbarian though?
Yeah, I like my. You know what? There was another one I watched with my wife. We watched that and Black Phone back to back, and
Barbarian was much better, right?
Well,
You watched Barbarian
Black Phone
first?
and then Barbarian second.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, that was a good.
I mean,
that was a good order.
I liked them both, but yeah, I like Barbarian a lot better. They did a really good job with building fucking tension, and then the break in the middle with, interestingly enough, Richard Brake, was a fucking
He's my boy.
really good transition between the first and second half of the movie.
I can never remember his name, but Pennywise, like
Bill Skarsgård?
he played his role great, and so Justin Long was fantastic, and the girl who played Tess, I don't know her real name, she was really
Yeah,
good.
Georgina Campbell. Yeah, she was really good.
I think possibly my favorite thing of all was as soon as the movie ends, they play "Be My Baby," and I was like, "That's a perfect song."
Baby. I find it interesting that they had a dude play the mother.
They did?
Yeah. So they had a guy in makeup and prosthetics playing the chick. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, good on them, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting. I can't. I mean, I'm fully assuming that we're getting a Barbarian 2.
Yeah, I mean, this one is new enough out that I don't want to spoil anything. But if you haven't seen it, it's definitely worth it, and definitely worth it going into not knowing very much about the movie, if anything at all.
Oh God, I don't know if I would have enjoyed it nearly as much if I avoided everything about it, other than hey, it's a good movie. Great, sold.
Yeah, me too.
I had it spoiled.
I went to the theater week 2. Oh, really?
Yep. I watched a bunch of reviewers on YouTube, and I found a new one that I was watching, and then they hit it, and they're like, oh, they dumped fucking spoilers right at the start of their review without saying anything. Okay, well, I got that now.
That's a bummer.
But I do got to say, I like that channel. It's called Fish Jelly Film Reviewers, and it's like two gay guys, like really gay guys, fucking reviewing movies together. It's pretty funny. It reminds me of shit. I don't know, like if Dom and somebody got together and they were reviewing movies and they're snarkiest possible.
That would work on every level.
Yeah. Barbarian is on my top 5 of the year so far.
I haven't really seen too many new ones, but yeah, for sure, Barbarian was definitely one of the best ones I've seen this year.
I liked it better than X. You guys seen
I
X?
still haven't seen X or Pearl yet.
X is I haven't seen Pearl yet, but X is really good, and I liked Barbarian just a little bit more.
Oh, I definitely liked Barbarian more, but there's a lot to like about X in
Oh yeah.
just the
Oh, yeah.
without saying anything else, like just the Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibe at times.
Oh, I thought you were going to say with boobs, but
there was boobs, but like there, you know what? All right,
not as
so
many
reading
boobs as you would
online,
expect
everybody's
for like a porn, porn movie.
It was so overhyped that there was going to be like all this sex, and there wasn't a ton of sex. Like I expected way more based on how people were like saying it was filth or too pornographic. I don't know. I didn't think it was that pornographic.
Yeah, I didn't get any of that. I would have went to the theater if I heard that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
that kind of theater.
I don't need to go to the theater for that anymore. Now that we have the internet, but
see something like super erotic and uncomfortable. And
yeah,
might have provided that
with other people around you to just make the context even better. Pee Wee Herman.
I mean, I remember just seeing like Eyes Wide Shut in the theater and still feeling like really awkward just with that.
Or Sleepwalkers with your mom.
Yep. That one will not be let down anytime soon. So yeah, I'm proud of it.
Just like
I should ask my mom, like,
does she remember?
Do you remember that?
You know who we should ask if they remember is Russ's mom. Hey, do you remember Sleepwalkers? Did Russ take you to the theaters?
Oh, I need to talk to his mom again.
All right.
Terrifier 2, did anybody watch it?
I still haven't seen it yet. No, not yet.
No.
Okay. I as a fan from the very beginning of All Hallows Eve, I'm definitely inclined to love the movie, but it is really violence for the sake of violence with a lot of comedy. If you can find that sick type of humor appropriate, which I surely did. It's actually like 2 hours and 20 minutes, though, which I didn't know that you could make a movie like that long, but damn, they did, and it was enjoyable.
I mean, I've heard a couple of reviews about it, and one of the reviewers said, like, with this movie, Art the Clown basically becomes, one of horror's icons.
Yes, this cemented him. Like, Terrifier 1 was really good, but like it also had some really big flaws. This one was just like, all right, let's fix the flaws, and it was a lot of fun. So, once again, I say a lot of fun in the sickest way possible, people, but a lot of fun. To the point where I looked up art on Cameo, and I'm trying to get somebody to buy me a Cameo video for my birthday. That's my goal. I just want a Cameo video from Art the Clown. I finished Stranger Things Season 4, which I don't think I had finished prior to the last podcast.
No, you hadn't finished it yet.
That's a whole conversation. At some point, I would like to do a Stranger Things podcast at some point.
Either do you want to hit it up when... Well, we can't do it week by week when the new season comes out since they drop it all at once, but...
No, like, once they drop everything,
just
we could just do a retrospect.
Yeah, 10-4. I love Stranger Things, so that'd be awesome. I mean, did you see my Halloween costume this year?
I didn't. You told me about, but I didn't see any pictures. Did you post it?
I think my wife posted them on Facebook, so I'll make sure I tag you eventually. Okay. But yeah, I was Steve from season 3 with the Scoops Ahoy ice cream uniform. My wig.
I'm just going to randomly friend your wife.
When the wig came out of the bag, it did not look like it did. The first time I tried it on, though, it was fucking wild and all over the place. To the point where, like, one of my friends was like, "Oh, you were Robin." I was like, "No, I was Steve." That's why the name tag said Steve, and I didn't shave my legs for the fucking part. But thanks a lot, asshole.
Wigs look so like you really have to do some good work with wigs. I mean,
the one I got when I dressed up as Jareth a couple of years ago from Labyrinth, that worked out perfect. And the one that my wife and I used when we went as Kiss a couple of years before that was great too. But this one was way more subdued the first time I tried it on, and then it all just fucking puffed out. Then again, I was outside in the Florida humidity too. So it went from looking like something styled to something that was just fucking everywhere. I was like, well, okay.
Fair enough. I just see that Nope is now finally on Peacock, so I can't wait to watch that and be disappointed. Just throwing that out there. I fully expect. I don't know.
I'd give you a 50-50, probably.
I like Stephen Yeun. That's really the main reason I'm going to give it a shot, because there's always something compelling in Jordan Peele's work, but there's always something where I'm just like, it doesn't deserve the hype.
Are you almost like there's always something where you're like, nope?
Moving along.
Oh, thanks, Kent.
Did you
Scream.
have
I
you
watched
seen Nope,
Scream.
Chris?
No, I haven't seen it yet either.
Okay.
Again, I don't have fucking Peacock.
Did you, Kevin?
Oh yeah, I went and saw it in the theater.
Like, compared to Jordan's other stuff, how would you rank them?
They're all different.
Are you including Candyman, even though he didn't direct it, but since he wrote it?
I'm not.
Okay.
No, I'm including just
No, I would
the
only
three.
include movies he directed. So
Get Out and Us.
Get Out, Us, Nope. Like, what would be the best one? Maybe Nope. Honestly,
Wow.
like,
Okay.
and it's one of those movies that you like kind of feel like you have to watch it again, like, because it's like, I hate to say it, but it's there's a lot into it, and like honestly, my girlfriend picked up on a lot more stuff than I did, but some of it, if you don't quite get it at first, it's confusing, and it like really takes you out of it, and instead of like pulling you in. So I can see that, like, you know, if you are confused, just look up a positive review of it, or, you know, and because there's a lot going on, and Steve Ewing is great and not in it enough, but all the performances are great, like, kind of like all of Jordan Peele's movies. But yeah, I don't want to give anything away, but it's more Spielberg than John Carpenter or whatever else you might.
Fair enough. All right. Did anybody see the newest Scream?
Yeah, I watched it back when it first came out on Paramount Plus.
So, you know, I like the Scream movies. I love that, you know, they've maintained, I mean, aside from Scream 3, it's really a very consistent franchise. But now, like, who are they bringing back for the next one? Just Courtney Cox?
Yeah, because they didn't offer, the whole salary dispute with Nev Campbell.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not. Whatever she was asking, it was probably worth it, even though, like, I mean, she wasn't a huge role in this newest one. It's just kind of the continuity the fans want it. Like, it couldn't have been that huge of a salary dispute, I fully believe. But
I mean,
what?
I think she said they were offering her 6 figures, which is, it depends on how much she's going to be in it. If she was going to be in it even less than she was in whatever, do we want to call it Scream 5?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and less than she was in Scream 5, then, I mean, I can understand that argument.
I think she earned $1 million
pay.
to be in a Scream movie, though.
I could see a
depending on the
budget. If she's asking for like $15 million for like a glorified cameo, I mean, let's face it,
right?
Nev Campbell isn't Harrison Ford. She it's not like she's a solid hallmark of the Scream franchise, but it's not like she's been doing nonstop work, fucking making the big bucks.
Yeah, I'd give her $1 or $2 million to do the cameo just for the namesake recognition, and she's part of the franchise. That I guess that's how I'm looking at it. But yeah, she ain't worth anything more unless she's going to be a featured player, so to speak.
I mean, at the same time, though, like, let's move on beyond the Sidney Prescott. I mean, you don't need to have Ghostface coming. It's like you're turning a group of fucking people into like a Jason, Michael Myers wannabe. stalking the same person over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah. I liked how they tied things in this particular one with the what was it, Billy?
Yeah,
right?
with Billy's daughter.
Yeah, I don't know. There was a lot to like. I went into it thinking, I looked at the cast, I was like, shit, I loved the cast for Scream 4 because it was stacked. And then this one, I looked at it, I was like, I don't know who the hell most of these people are, but sometimes that works, like in favor, right?
Yeah, I mean,
So,
think of Scream 1.
sure.
Lots of names that we know now, but I mean, like Skeet
Yeah.
Ulrich, Nev Campbell, Matthew Lillard. Most of them had only done like one big role beforehand. Like Nev. The only thing I remember her from was being like the fourth major stringer in The Craft before that.
Yeah.
Party of Five.
So,
Yeah, I never watched Party of Five, so
No, but I knew that she was in it. Yeah, I didn't really
yeah.
care for it.
But yeah, I mean, so I knew she'd been in it, but I'd never seen it, so it was no frame of reference.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what else. I know I've watched quite a few. I watched just as much.
You told me
horror
you
this
watched
month.
Orphan First Kill, right?
I tried.
Oh, okay. Did it not work? My password, or was it
All
just...
right. No. That worked. What didn't work for me, and I'm gonna give it another shot because people are telling me to just power through it. They did a visual trick where they made it blurry because this is supposed to be a prequel, and obviously the girl has aged, so they're trying to hide her aging. So you have this blurry visual the whole time, and that's okay. It's not going to make or break it, but the stupidity of the first 10 minutes, I just sat there, and as you said earlier, sometimes you're starting to pick things apart and you're not having fun. That's where I was. So I just said, I'll turn it off now. I'll come back to it later.
Gotcha.
Yeah, really, that and Nope are the two things I kind of want to see David Harbour's Violent Santa, or where the hell
Violent Night.
Night.
Yeah, that looks pretty funny.
But yeah, I don't know of any other big horror coming out. So I don't know. I feel it's honestly 2022, for as shitty of a year as it was really good for horror movies.
I mean, I haven't seen enough to comment one way or another, but I've liked what I've seen. I mean, even the stuff that I saw that was not as good, like The Black Phone, was still better than a lot of shit that I have in my fucking movie library.
It was even better than Sleepwalkers.
I'm thinking about, like, I have stuff like One Missed Call, and, like... Yeah.
Do you own The Box?
The Box?
Yeah.
Is that a movie, or is that, like...
Yeah, no, that's a movie.
I do not own The Box.
Kevin, you've
What
seen
is
The
it?
Box, right? The Box with Cameron Diaz and
yes.
James Marsden.
Oh, the
from
Richard Kelly movie.
2009?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. I just wanted to throw that out there because it has James Marsden, and I hate James Marsden, so that was more just a joke, and I kind of thought Chris would have had The Box for some reason.
I buy very few movies now because my physical library is so large that in order for me to translate everything into Blu-ray would probably take, I don't know, several $1,000s more than I would want to spend.
Sure.
Yep, been there, done that, hated myself, and now gone digital.
Yeah. But then the opposite side of that is, you lose the internet and you lose access to fucking watching your movies.
And that's why you rip as much as you can.
And you don't think it's a big deal until you live in Florida and you have a hurricane and you lose power for like 7 days. But anyways, moving on.
Dude, Buffalo had snow taller than me.
Jesus.
77 inches was what I've most recently heard was...
Is that going to be like another 1993? When we had the snowbanks were like 12 feet tall?
I see. It's not so bad here. It was snowing earlier, and I look out. There's there's snow on vehicles, but it's not anything like, you just brush it off type thing. So it's not bad here. But
Oh, if it makes you feel better, it is. It's a rather chilly 72 degrees down here right now.
Christ, my balls are dripping sweat hearing that. Okay, that sounds awful.
All right, so
I wake up in the middle of the night at 72 sweating. So no.
I forgot to ask you. Are we staying with what we talked about last time for next month?
Yeah, I'd like to. We're doing 5 classically animated and 5
CGI, computer generated animated. Yeah, so we decided that December is going to be our non-horror month because last year's Christmas special was pretty fun. Yeah, we got to talk about how Home Alone led into Saw.
I mean, without Home Alone and Cube, we never get Saw.
Those two movies combined give you Jigsaw.
That is true. I've heard the theory.
So, Kevin, will you be joining us for this?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Classic?
So it's
because originally we were talking about doing like. I think we were just talking about doing like, but then I was like, well, we got to talk about the classic ones too, because if you do just CGI, then you can talk about stuff like Toy Story and whatnot, but then you can't talk about something like The Secret of Nim, So yeah, 5 like traditional animated movies, and then 5 CGI.
Now, do they have to be family friendly?
Oh, not at all. But I think we should probably leave anime off the list.
Oh.
Because it's almost like a completely separate one.
Yeah, I'm not. Well, we all know I don't like anime, but I wasn't sure of like something like the movie 9.
Oh yeah, 9, or like if you wanted to throw it in heavy metal, something like that, versus.
Okay, so I can't include Wicked City. Got it.
That is anime. so yeah, no Wicked City. Or Legend of the Overfiend.
No Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, see that makes it, because you start adding anime and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, Akira, Ghost in the Shell.
I haven't seen
Street Fighter 2, the movie.
Yeah, come on, man. That's like the biggest video game.
That was honestly the first anime I ever saw.
And it's so much better than the actual live action. It's not even funny.
It's sad, but it really
Quick,
is.
change the channel.
All right. Yeah, I'm excited for it, man.
All right, awesome. Kevin, it was a blast having you on, man.
Thanks
Thank you
for having
joining
me.
us. And everybody on the internet, have a good night, and we will see you back sometime pretty soon before Christmas. Enjoy your Thanksgiving, and I will talk to you later.
Bye.
See ya.